All right, Shalom Israel. First and foremost, as always, I would like to give all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakaha Kwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return, and double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. And this is going to be a response video to a video that was uploaded by the beloved elder Manat Zagba from South Carolina. As you see right here, his YouTube channel is called GMS South Carolina 08. And the full title of the video, which he have uploaded, in which I'm going to be responding to, is called RE, which RE could be short for response or reaction. Why would you be afraid of the Lord? He loves you. Or he loves you, with a question mark accompanied by two exclamation marks. So in this video right here, okay, you have an Edomite derelict, or he could be a Jake that just looked like an Edomite, of which the Lord had made homeless. Either way it goes, that don't change the fact that he is a derelict. Basically, he came up to the beloved brothers camp and started scoffing and blurting out his own opinions of what he believed of the Heavenly Father. And it is very, very common for the majority of the people around the world to have this misconception of the Heavenly Father, that he's all love all the time. You know, he's good all the time. You know, this, that, fourth, and the other. Not understanding the Heavenly Father or what he's truly capable of. And people love to blurt out the word love, not understanding what love really is. And pretty much, take these off, excuse me. What I'm going to be responding to is a comment which I have left on the brother's comment board here. You know, I left a couple of comments actually, but this one at the bottom is the one that I really want to focus on. Okay, so this is my comment right here, which I left an hour ago, as you see right here, from my my other YouTube channel called Rakalab Yahawada. And basically, I left these comments because, you know, I mean, it being my first time watching this video. Okay, at the very beginning of this brother's video, I wonder if I could play it. Okay, at the very beginning of this brother's video,
the two word with
here, let me just do this. I'm just going back out.
it says, why would you be afraid of the Lord?
And on this earth right now, there's too much pride among humans. They're not afraid of the Lord. You know how we know? Because they openly just commit iniquity and just do it. In the face of the Lord, in the face of the servants, and then they even tell you, you don't got no right to say nothing about it. Go ahead, bro.
The lofty look of man.
Why would you be afraid of the Lord? The Lord created you, he loves you, you are his children. Why would you be afraid of him? Why would you
be afraid of the Lord. The Lord created you. He loves you. You are his children. Why would you be afraid of him? I'm afraid of you. Trying to tell people a bunch of bullshit. I'm afraid of you. Trying to tell people a bunch of bullshit.
Man, take that ass out. Man, take that ass out. Man, take you're afraid of the Lord because he's gonna kick your ass. That's why.
Okay, so after I saw this comment that he put in the video right here, please put scripts of fearing the Lord on the comment board. I did not waste any time on putting scriptures of fearing the Lord on the comment board, and that's what prompted me to leave this comment right here. So you know, again, this is a comment that I left on my alternate YouTube channel called Rakhalab Yahawada. Okay, and the comment reads as this: Shalom, beloved. Now, for those who don't know, beloved goes back to the Hebrew name Dawada. Okay, and in a matter of fact, beloved is the definition of King David's name. When you go into King David's name, David literally means beloved. Okay, and it's interesting how love is in David's name, right? Beloved, because this lesson is all about, you know, the fear of the Lord, because love and fear work hand in hand. If you fear Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, you're going to love him regardless, because what is love? Romans chapter 13 verse 10, love worketh no ill to his neighbor, therefore love is the fulfilling of the law. If you love the Heavenly Father, you're going to keep his laws, statutes, and commandments, which you can keep via rehearsing the righteous acts to the best of your ability. Like today is the Sabbath, you know, it's my day off work. You know, I'm not working, I'm not having sex, I'm not buying, I'm not selling, I'm not doing my worldly pleasures. I'm not doing my worldly pleasures, but I am keeping the Sabbath to the best of my ability. Okay, I'm not having sex, I'm not doing any of those things. I'm not cooking, I'm not kindling fires. Okay, so you know, and I'm not boasting myself, but I'm just using an example of, you know, because we're not going to be saved on keeping the law. Okay, Lord's will, if we're of the elect, we hope to be of the elect, we're going to be delivered by faith and by our works. Like it tells you in the book of 2nd Esdras, the 9th chapter, and everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby ye have believed shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning, saith Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. So, okay, fear and love go hand in hand. And again, fear is not an emotion. Fear is an action. If you love the Heavenly Father, you're going to fear him regardless. You're going to fear Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And if you fear Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, you're going to keep his laws, statutes, and commandments, which you can keep to the best of your ability. So, Shalom, beloved. You know, and then it goes to Hebrews 10 verse 31. It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. Now, this was written by the Apostle Paul. And why did the Apostle Paul write this? The Apostle Paul wrote this because by experience and by much studying, especially if you study the Old Testament, you would learn that the Heavenly Father has been known for bringing dread and terror upon the inhabitants of the land. Okay? And those dreads and terror comes by the works which the Heavenly Father have executed on the planet before in the past. Let's just start with the book of Genesis. Why is it a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God? Why should the Heavenly Father Yahweh be feared? Why is he to be feared? The very first dread, the very first terror that the Heavenly Father brought upon the face of the earth was the flood. During the time of Noah, the Heavenly Father told Noah to make an ark, in which that ark would ultimately be the salvation of Noah, his son, Noah's wife, and his son's wives. Okay, because each of his sons had a wife. Okay, but that would be done through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Okay, so Noah built an ark. And to make a long story short, after he was finished building the ark, and after having prophesied for over 100 years, right, the Lord commanded Noah to enter into the ark, along with the animals, clean and unclean, male and female, and so on, right? And they entered into the ark. And afterwards, what happened? The Heavenly Father began to make it rain. Okay, he began to make it rain. In which there was a violent thunderstorm in those times. Because you got to think about it. This was a thunderstorm so violent and so fierce, it was terrifying. It left people running in terror. People were looking for Noah. Hey, Noah, where you at? And to give you a good description of what this storm was like, okay, picture heavy rain. We've seen heavy rain before in the past, right? Picture heavy rain. Okay, except this was more than just heavy rain. This was very, very heavy rain. And this heavy rain was so thick that anything that was 20 feet in front of you, you would have hardly been able to see it because of so many raindrops coming from the sky. Now, picture this rain accompanied by heavy winds. Heavy as winds, okay? Heavy winds. Heavy winds blowing this rain. And this heavy winds and this heavy rain is accompanied by lightning flashes, and thunder. Thunder is the boom of what you hear after you see the lightning. Okay, the thunder is the sonic boom that you hear right after you see the lightning. Okay, because yes, lightning does have sound to it, and whenever you see some fierce lightning, you better best believe it's going to be accompanied by a loud explosion or a loud boom, which is usually the thunder. Okay. So this should give you a good idea of the type of rain that was going on during the time of Noah, which also described the Lord's anger and his displeasure at the wickedness and the evil that was going on during the time of Noah. So picture it raining like this for days upon days upon days. Okay. And you know, I don't want to just play any guessing games, but let's see, how many days did it rain during the time of Noah? Let's go to Google here and let's type this in. Okay. How many days did it rain when Noah was on the ark? Let's see what pops up here. So that's what I thought, 40 days and 40 nights. So imagine it raining like this for 40 days and 40 nights. Okay, so that's just the book of Genesis. You know, we also got to remember the fire and brimstone that the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah in the book of Genesis. The Lord rained fire and brimstone on Sodom and Gomorrah. Now that fire and brimstone could have been meteorites, or the Lord could have used his angels to shoot laser beams on that place. Either way it goes, it was a terrifying sight to behold. Okay? Imagine a meteorite falls from the sky and hits you directly. Your ass is through. You through. But then somebody else who survived, right? And I'm not saying you as in, you know, the brothers in the truth. I'm just saying in general, you know. Or, you know, picture a crusty ass nigga in the world getting hit by a meteorite. I'll just say it that way then. Let me rephrase that. Picture a crusty ass Edomite or some dirty, dusty, cracker ass cave nigger getting hit by a meteorite directly. You gonna tell me that's not gonna be a terrifying sight to behold? Okay? And then on top of that, as soon as the meteorite hits the person and the ground, there's an explosion, a loud ass explosion that causes glass to shatter, that causes your ears to ring. The explosion is bright. You see like a flash from the explosion. You see parts of the ground flying up into the air, parts of the ground flying everywhere. People getting hit by large rocks that were flying from the explosion. You know, people's face got gushed in by a rock. You see what I mean? So imagine that, meteorites just hitting Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay? And that whole city just getting completely wasted and left into ruins. Okay? That's a terrifying thing, man. Okay? You look at the plagues that the Lord brought upon Egypt, ancient Egypt, in the book of Genesis, right? Now, let's go to Bing.com because, well, before I do that, let's go to Bing. Actually, I should have it under my, here we go, Bing.com images, because, let's see, I want to open up the Blue Letter Bible here because in the book of Genesis, right, it speaks about how the Lord brought flies upon the ancient Egyptians. Now, the average person will see that word flies there, and you would think the Lord plagued the ancient Egyptians with horse flies, fruit flies, or like the regular flies you see flying around in your home and shit when you leave your window open to cool off. Nah, man, when it says flies, and I looked this up before, let's look it up again. We're going to type in flies, Let's see what pops up here. Okay, let's read Exodus 8 verse 21 first, because it's not going to give you the definition of flies in Exodus 8 verse 21, but it will in the book of Psalms. So Exodus chapter 8 verse 21, else if thou wilt not let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies upon thee, and upon thy servants, and upon thy people, and into thy houses, and the houses of the Egyptians shall be full of swarms of flies, and also the ground whereon they are. Okay, so this actually happened. Okay, so let's read verse 24, right? Showing you that the Heavenly Father did these things through his servant Moses. The Heavenly Father, Yahweh, okay, he did these things through his servant Moses. Okay, and the Lord, when you see the Lord right there in all caps, that's talking about the Heavenly Father, whose name is Yahweh. And Yahweh did so. And there came a grievous swarm of flies into the house of Pharaoh, and into his servants' houses, and into all the land of Egypt. The land was corrupted by reason of the swarm of flies. You see that? So now let's scroll down. Let's go to Exodus 78 verse, and to show you that this is talking about the land of Egypt, right? Let's start at verse 43. The book of Psalm, chapter 78, verse 43. Okay. It says, how he wrought his signs in Egypt. And Yahweh did wrought his signs in Egypt. Now, when you go to the book of 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter, did not the Lord say through the prophet Esdras that he will plague Egypt with plagues? He will send plagues upon Egypt as before. So you people here in America, man, you're about to catch holy hell, man. Okay? And these same type of flies that the Lord brought upon ancient Egypt, he's going to bring upon America. So listen, right? How he, the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, you know, via his right hand, which is Yahweh Shai, have wrought through his servant Moses, have wrought his signs in Egypt and his wonders in the field of Zoan, and had turned their rivers into blood and their floods. And the Lord did use his servant Moses to turn the rivers into blood so that the waters became undrinkable. Okay, and also there was a stink that came up out of those rivers, right? It says, and their floods that they could not drink. And the floods is talking about their lakes. You know, if you ever see a lake, right? The lakes be they be going downstream. Okay, it says he gave also their increase unto the caterpillar. Oh, excuse me. I missed a verse. My apologies. The book of Psalm, chapter 78, verse 45. He sent diverse sorts of flies among them, which devoured them, and frogs which destroyed them. Now it says diverse sorts of flies. Let's look this up. Let's look up the definition for flies. Okay, let's see. He sent among them diverse sorts of flies. Let's look this Hebrew word up for flies. Okay, the Hebrew word there is irab. No, I believe it's arab. Irab or arab. I believe it's irab. That Assyrian text there, I believe, is I. So it's irab. The Hebrew word there is irab. Right? And right here for definitions, we see swarm, right? Probable meaning from mixture and incessant or involved motion. So we see swarm right here. And then we come over here, right? We see diverse sorts of flies. Right? Right here we see a mosquito from its swarming, diverse sorts of swarm. Okay. Now let's go to the Brown Driver Briggs lexicon. This is what I really want right here, right? IROB. It says, so we see IROB here, right? And what do we see? We see mixture from incessant, involved motion, lag, right? But then what do we see right here? Let's highlight this. We see of plague of stinging flies. Of plague of stinging flies. So this right here is talking about a plague of stinging flies. You see that? So this is not talking about your average fly, your fruit fly or a horse fly. These are talking about flying insects that are dangerous, that can cause poison or even death. And what are some examples of stinging flies? Well, let's get some examples. Let's go to Revelation 13, verse 9 real quick. Okay, let's come back over here to Bing.com, right? And let's type in yellow jacket, yellow jackets. Okay. Here's your example of stinging flies. Because at the end of the day, that's all a yellow jacket is. A yellow jacket is a stinging fly. So this is what the Lord was sending upon the ancient Egyptians. And when you do your research on yellow jackets, okay, yellow jackets can be the size of your thumb. Now, if you look at your thumb, right, and I'm talking about the size of a adult thumb. Now, if you're an adult and you look at your thumb, this is how big yellow jackets can be. Okay? The size of your thumb. And that's pretty fucking big, man. And and yellow jackets are known for being aggressive insects. If you don't know what an aggressive insect is, an aggressive insect is an insect that basically, when it sees somebody within their territory, they automatically fly towards the target and began stinging them multiple times. Okay? So the Lord plagued the ancient Egyptians with yellow jackets. And not just yellow jackets, bot flies. Do you know what a bot fly is? A bot fly is basically a fly that bites you and leaves a larvae of flies inside your body. And basically, once the larvae hatch, okay, and a matter of fact, it's best if I just showed you myself. Let's type in bot fly, right? Bot fly. Okay. This is a bot fly. And basically, when you get bitten by a bot fly, right? You see, these are the type of worms. These are the type of worms they leave inside your body. You see? See, look at that. Bot fly larva removal. Okay, fair use. This is going to be used for edification's sake. Oop, I'm sorry. No. Go back. Okay. Bot fly larva removal. This is what happens when you get bitten by a bot fly. And a matter of fact, let's do it this way. Okay, let's type in let's see, bot fly larva removal. Let's see, from people. Bumps on the legs, parasite infection. Let's see. Okay. Let's see, let's type in people or person. You know, this stuff is disgusting and it's very discomforting, okay? Bot fly maggot removal. Check this out. This is what happens when you get bitten by a bot fly. This is fair use, by the way. I am not using this video for monetary gain or monetary purposes. This video is being used for educational purposes only. So fair use, okay? Hey, man, this is why you should fear Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, because the Holy Scriptures tell you that Yahweh is the Father of spirits. Every living thing that you see moving upon this earth has a spirit in it. Okay, and I'm talking about creatures, animals, insects, bugs, you name it. Birds, animals, even the marine life. They all got spirits in them. And the Heavenly Father control them all. So if you see somebody getting eaten by a lion, the Heavenly Father made that lion go over there and eat that person. And I don't need to tell you how many reports on the news have came out of people getting eaten by jaguars, people getting eaten by animals out in the jungle, out in the desert, out in the wildlife, okay? Because the Heavenly Father controls them animals. Somebody gets stung by a wasp, the Heavenly Father guided that person to that wasp because man's goings are of the Lord. And then the Lord guided that wasp to that person and made that wasp sting that person. Okay? You're hearing all these reports of people getting mauled to deletion by their own pet bulls. Who put the spirit on? Who made that pet bull eat that person? The Lord did. So it is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. So the Heavenly Father was the one who gave this person a bot fly. The Heavenly Father guided that bot fly to that person and made the bot fly bite that person and then infect that person with a larvae, with a larvae egg worm of a bot fly.
Say every day.
Oh my God.
They're just quick. That's the issue.
Now, I'm just going to put this in and just stretch a little. Feel funny. Just let me.
This one feels like a big one. Oh dear me.
If you notice, she got multiple bite wounds on her from bot flies.
Please don't. It's a real mess. Oh my God, there's doors hanging off and all sorts. Oh, yeah, he's coming. I think you could add this to your CV, mate.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Tropical disease.
This is definitely experiencing tropical disease.
Take these fishing with you, Dad.
See that?
Biting down.
No,
Fear
it's
ye not
so
me,
much
save the Lord.
Those little black bits are
Will
like
ye not
spines.
tremble at my presence? You see that? Will you not tremble at my presence, save the Lord? You see that? So those are bot flies. This is what the Lord brought upon the ancient Egyptians. Okay? Okay? So, hey, the Lord is terrible, man. You know what? Go back. Yeah. Let's go to Bing, right? And let's type in person. Okay. Let's type in stung multiple times by stung by yellow jackets multiple times. Let me show you how big these stings be looking. Okay, here's one But I want to see. You see how big that sting mark is? If you get stung multiple times by a yellow jacket, they will literally have you. They'll have you looking like Swiss cheese. Okay, give you a good idea of how big these sting marks be. You see that? You see how big that swell is? That's just on his arm. You see that? You see that swell? Zoom in a little bit so you can see it. That's a big ass sting mark, man. That came from a yellow jacket. That's a big hole, man. For a sting mark, that's a big hole. Wonder, let me see. Okay, but there's some more graphic ones, but they're not going to show it because when to learn about yellow jackets. Okay, look how swollen his hand is compared to the other one. See that? Okay, so the Heavenly Father sent bot flies, he sent wasps, he sent yellow jackets, mosquitoes. Let me type in Jumanji. I looked this up before, but yeah, Jumanji mosquito scene. Let me give you a good, and let me remind you that back in the ancient world, right? Everything was much bigger. Men were much bigger, animals were much bigger, insects were much bigger, birds were much bigger. So a yellow jacket back in the ancient world would have more than likely been twice the size of your thumb that you see today. They would have been twice the size of your thumb, if not slightly more bigger. Okay, so look at that. This is from the movie Jumanji, right? Okay, imagine mosquitoes like this big plaguing the ancient Egyptians. These are all examples of stinging flies. So this is what the Lord brought upon the ancient Egyptians. And they were all over their walls, their floors. The Egyptians could not even sleep. They could not even sleep. Imagine trying to sleep while and let me tell you something, man. It's very discomforting to hear large groups of yellow jackets just flying in, because when you hearing, have you ever heard large groups of yellow jackets flying around in swarms? They sound menacing. Imagine trying to sleep while there's large groups of yellow jackets flying around and shit. Okay, so the Lord brought hail on the ancient Egyptians. So these are just some examples of stinging flies, which the Lord brought upon the ancient Egyptians. So let's come back over here. Okay, so you go to the book of Exodus. The Lord brought all kind of plagues on the ancient Egyptians, frogs, you name it. Hail about the weight of a talent. I think it was about the weight of a talent, but I could be wrong. But Moses did bring hail upon the ancient Egyptians. You go to the book of Wisdom of Solomon, the 17th chapter. It tells you about the monstrous apparitions that the Heavenly Father brought upon the ancient Egyptians during that great darkness that Moses brought over the land of Egypt. Okay, The Egyptians were seeing sad visions of themselves dying, you know. Okay, they saw fires kindle within itself, monstrous apparitions. You don't know what a monstrous apparition is? Just watch movies like here. I'll give you a good example of a monstrous apparition. You know what? Let's do that in the next video. Shalom. It's on to the next.